Keep in mind that everything is energy, everything, so also souls, and even the most solid of all matter. And we know from our physics classes in school that things can be depleted of energy. We often compare our human body with a battery. When the battery is out of energy, we either throw it away, calling it a dead battery, or we recharge it, and we have a fully working battery again. However, we can't go on recharging the same battery over and over forever, because sooner or later even the rechargeable battery is going to go dead and we throw it away. Bodies are working in a similar way. By the end of the day, when we come home from a long workday and have been up so many hours, the body gets depleted of energy and needs to be recharged. If we didn't have a chance to sleep every now and then, our body would much sooner than later die from lack of energy. Fortunately, we can recharge our batteries, hopefully every night, and wake up after a certain amount of hours, feeling much better than when we went to bed. But just like with the battery, the body ages, and eventually it doesn't matter how much you recharge it, it still won't work satisfactory, and the body will die. But what about the soul? Don't the same laws of energy apply to souls? Well, we hear over and over that the soul never dies. It lives on after body death and is basically indestructible. In other words, souls can't die. Ever, is this really true? Well, it depends on how we look at it. Although the energy in the universe is not unlimited, it's still abundant. It's all around us, and the universe is supposedly at least 14 to 17 billion light years across, although I would say it's spherical, or, as I've come to suspect lately, a gigantic spiral, and there is an unimaginable amount of energy in this vastness. It should be enough to feed the soul at all times, shouldn't it? Yes, apparently so, but there are limitations to how much energy one single soul can absorb, and as a matter of fact, in spite of what metaphysicists say, the soul is aging. Why otherwise are there new souls born? And there is evidence that there is. Some of us are younger, more immature souls, while others are older, wiser souls. This wouldn't be the case if a soul didn't age, and if souls age, do they also die? Now, time is arbitrary, and is considered differently depending on where in the universe we reside, so it's incorrect to say that one soul is 3 million years old while another is 4 billion years old. This can only be done if the two souls were born at the same place and stayed there all the time. Then time becomes relative, and the age of souls can be compared. Before we go on and discuss souls here on Earth, where their age can be compared, let's look at it from a universal perspective. Our scientists say that the universe is X billion years old. They argue a little bit and differ in opinion with a few billion years back and forth, but they are relatively in agreement. And this is what we learn in school. Unfortunately, I would say. The same scientists don't understand that we live in a multiverse and that all time exists simultaneously. We are so used to thinking in linear time that it's very hard for us to grasp that. In a sense, our multiverse has always existed and will always exist in certain terms, as nothing really gets destroyed. We can, when we know how, always go back in time and change the outcome of certain events and thus create a new timeline. Or we can go back in time and enter space, time from a time-space perspective, like descending towards a horizontal timeline perpendicularly and re-experience an event before it happened, and what was destroyed is still there. So in those terms, nothing that is born really dies. There are very few limits to what we can do, if any. My argument is that once we exist, we will always exist, but there may be a point where we stop evolving because we come to an abrupt end. We call it death, whether it's a plant, animal, or a human being. We haven't considered it enough when it comes to spirits, souls, however.